The Oilers have been in a free fall. We're talking here just before the Columbus game on December 16th. They're on a 6-game losing skid. But, whether or not the Oilers win this game over the Blue Jackets, I mean, of course a win is a win. They'll take the points. But they've fallen quite a bit in the standings, and now they're in the middle of it all. Everybody's caught up to them.
They have. There were 763 winning percentage after the win against Pittsburgh on December 1st, and now they're 593. They've gone from 1st to 16th place. Second wild card in the West as we speak, going into the Columbus game. So yes, they have dropped a whole lot. We forget that the team down the road in Calgary, with everybody in the roster and COVID, has also lost 4 games in a row, the Calgary Flames. And not many people are talking about that, but you're right. You lose a lot of games in this league in a row, and then suddenly the runway you had built up becomes pretty short, and you're running into a snowbank, which is what the Oilers have pretty much run into. It's not the worst. They did lose 7 in a row back in 2005. 2006, the year they went to the Stanley Cup Final. In October, they lost 7 straight games, but of course Kevin Lowe had to make about 16 trades that year to improve the roster, so they got to the Stanley Cup Final. But you're right, one win won't do it. They have to beat Columbus. They have to beat Seattle in Seattle. They have to beat Anaheim here, and then they play 2 California teams, before San Jose and Los Angeles before Christmas. So they may have worked their way through the toughest teams on this homestand to where they're playing teams that are, if not equal, maybe worse than the Edmonton Oilers.
Beginning of the year, and this is true for the last couple of seasons, the San Jose's, the LA's, the Anaheims, the former California powerhouses obviously are out of the playoffs. But things change, and now we're seeing Anaheim at the top of the Pacific standings, a third of the way through the schedule. And the Kings have improved, and the Sharks have improved too. They're
not free spots on the bingo card like last year, especially San Jose was very poor. And LA wasn't very good. The California teams, certainly Anaheim, wasn't very good. So they're back up to where they're competitive every game. When you're the Edmonton Oilers and you can only score 1 goal a game, it's a struggle against every team. And the Oilers scored 5 against Pittsburgh. They've not led for a single second since that game. In the last 6 losses, they haven't led for a single second. So, which is hard to believe with the offense the Oilers have. But it'd be nice if they didn't fall behind 2-0. It seems to be the standard. You fall by not 1 but 2, and then it becomes an uphill struggle. Columbus isn't very good. The Oilers have pretty much had their way with Columbus over the years. So, if you're going to beat anybody, it's going to be Columbus, unless Elvis in the Columbus net stands on his head.
I was going to try to make a dad joke and say if he turns out to be a hound dog, but
yes, you could say that.
That's my dad's joke, because that's how.
Yeah, and you go back too far. You go back, more than 5 minutes for some of these fans. It is odd. It's not odd. I know a fan base is paid to be. Well, it's not paid, but is invested in their hockey team, and when they're going bad, the world's, the sky's falling in and such. But I don't think you can have it both ways. Over the last couple of years, the Oilers have played pretty well in the regular season and then flamed out in the playoffs. And then they said, well, the regular season doesn't matter. We just got to win in the playoffs, the fans said. Well, now they're struggling in the regular season, and suddenly they want to fire the coach. Ken Holland's, the dumbest general manager in the world. So I don't think you can have it both ways. I think the Oilers are, they're a good team. They're not a Stanley Cup contender, let's put it that way. And they're not going to be a Stanley Cup contender until they get a roster that's deeper at forward, so that the same 2 guys, 97 and 29, don't have to carry them most games. And in the last 6 games, Draisaitl and Connor McDavid have been mortal. 1 point a game, not 2. And, they've lost 6 in a row.
And yet, at the end of this season, that will be year 3 of Ken Holland and this roster, and the majority of the roster is of his construction, save 5 or 6 players.
True. and they've got better in the regular season every year. They've got better. But the one constant, I think, has been their 5-on-5 play has not got better. And I think that's a major concern. I think, they hoped that they'd remedied that, bringing in, trading for Warren Fogle and having Derek Ryan at center with Cassian and having a third line that could forecheck and keep the puck in the other team's end and such. But Derek Ryan, bless him, works hard, wins some faceoffs, but he has not played very well, and he's on the fourth line. So and Ryan McLeod's 22, so he's not the veteran third line center that we're looking for. And Fogle hasn't scored a goal in 19 games. So, the general manager thought he made some good moves, but they haven't turned out to be very good moves. I think the moves on defense, which were criticized by a lot of fans, Duncan Keith and Cody Ceci have been just fine. I think Keith played well, and Ceci, while he's not the same sort of player as Adam Larson, he's a defensive defenseman, and I think he's been fine as well. So not so bad. It's bad there. And they're 16-11 now. If they suddenly we're talking again next week and they're 16-14, then there's a question here. But eventually they're going to win a hockey game, and you would think. I don't think they're going to lose 10 in a row. Let's put it that way.